Good evening, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Friday, September 4th, 2015, around 7:44 in the evening in Billerica, Massachusetts. Sun went down, was a nice day out, a perfect 10-day with clear and calm and cool conditions, no humidity. Going to have another same day like that tomorrow, but then a heat wave's coming. Humidity for the first week of September, where all the kids are back to school. Some news to report. Rich Peverley, who used to play for the Bruins and Stars, announced his retirement from the NHL due to heart problems. Rich Peverley suffered a heart attack during a game last year, and he had open heart surgery. He tried to come back from it, but he couldn't, so he had to retire. So prayers to him. The Detroit Red Wings re-signed forward Danny Cleary to a one-year contract for $950,000, and general manager and vice president of hockey operations of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Steve Yzerman, announced his no contract negotiations right now with their captain, Steve Stamkos. Steve Stamkos could be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. And the Lightning better re-sign him to a long-term contract, because if they don't, the Toronto Maple Leafs are just waiting and waiting to sign Steven Stamkos to a long-term extension. And he will be the centerpiece for the rebuilding of the Maple Leafs. Steven Stamkos grew up in Ontario, Canada, and he was a big Toronto Maple Leafs fan. And 43 years ago today, 3 classic game shows made their debut on CBS daytime television. The Joke Was Wild, hosted by Jack Barry; Gambit, hosted by Wink Martindale; and The Price is Right, hosted by Bob Barker. The Price is Right is still on today on CBS daytime after 43 years. It has a different host, Drew Carey. You can see that at 11 in the morning on your local CBS affiliate, which is WBZ in Boston, or WKMG in Orlando, Florida. Have to do that plug because of Julie Broughton, who has the nicest legs in the world next to Heidi Press. Anyway, on to the third and final video blog subject of the night, which is my personality profile. Tonight's personality profile is the late great announcer of Stampede Wrestling, Ed Whalen. Ed Whalen called Stampede Wrestling for over 30 years. Also, he was a play-by-play announcer of the Calgary Flame for 19 seasons. Ed grew up and was born in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan in Canada, and he had kind of a rough childhood. At a young age, Ed had double pneumonia, and it was a touch-and-go situation for a time that he might have not survived. Then, during his teenage years, Ed was painfully shy and a loner, and he went to study medicine at the University of Saskatchewan. Ed wanted to become a doctor, but he got interested in radio, and he quit going to school, take a part-time job at a radio station in Saskatoon with the call letter CFQC. He did that for a few years. Then, in 1955, Ed moved to Calgary, Alberta, Canada, to become the news and sports director for KHC-TV, Channel 2 and 7 in Calgary, and he covered a lot of news stories and sports stories. Then he became friends with Stu Hart, who was a local wrestler and a promoter and owner of Stampede Wrestling. And Stu asked Ed if he wanted to become a wrestling announcer, and he said sure, to supplement his income. And Ed hosted Stampede Wrestling on television as a play-by-play announcer for close to 30 years, from 1958 through 1983 and through 1985 through 1989. He called a lot of great matches with such superstars as the Hart Brothers, Sweet Daddy Siki, the Stomper, and so many others. He's catchphrases as "it's going to be a Wiener dandy," and he would always have the line, "in the meantime and between time." That's another addition for Stampede Wrestling and stuff like that. Ed loved with professional wrestling, loved calling it. He was a very enthusiastic announcer, but sometimes he would quit when the action got too rough, especially when there was blood and stuff like that. He did it. He quit a few times, but Stu Hart asked him to come back, saying, "You're a great announcer," and stuff like that, and Ed agreed to it many times and stuff like that. In his spare time, Ed wrote music and stuff like that, and for many years, Ed was a great writer. He wrote a Sunday column about Calgary sports in the Calgary Sun and stuff. In 1980, Ed took a job as the play-by-play announcer of the Calgary Flames of the National Hockey League. They just moved from Atlanta and they became the Calgary Flames, and Ed was a play-by-play announcer for them on television for 19 years. He was a great hockey announcer. Some of his taglines was "Hello, hockey fans." Plus, he used some of his wrestling quotes while doing the games and stuff like that. Ed quit announcing wrestling around 1990 when Stampede Wrestling went under for good and stuff like that. But Ed continued to work play-by-play for the Calgary Flames until 1999. That's when he retired from doing that, and then he retired to live in Florida. But Ed passed away in 2001 of a heart attack at the age of 74 and stuff. He developed a long-term friendship outside the ring with Stu Hart and stuff, and all of his family and stuff. And the press box at the Saddle Dome is named after Ed Whalen and stuff like that. Ed was probably maybe a great announcer and stuff. He's probably one of the top 10 professional wrestling announcers of all time, in my humble opinion and stuff like that. And he was a great hockey announcer. Some of his quotes were very legendary and stuff like that. If you get to see Stampede Wrestling on YouTube and stuff, or on the WWE Network, you could see his action and with his ring calls. Another one of his famous quotes is "malfunction at the junction." That's about it on Ed Whalen, and that's about it on these video blogs for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. 3 more video blogs are coming. First video blog will be the top 10 foods that are great on the menu at Hooters restaurant. Second video blog will be about WWE Saturday Night's Main Event, the history of it. And the third and final video blog of the night will be about former Major League Baseball player Darryl Strawberry. Keep calm, everybody. And I'm a Julie Bunning guy. Molly Rosenblatt of Fox 35 rocks and has nice legs. Elizabeth Hart of Local 6 rocks. Amy Swenzy of Wish 2 rocks. And in the words of Dee Patel, last week, no bus. Good night. See you tomorrow.